Welcome to Super Movie Brothers. Let's start the show.
This is a podcast on the Podfix Network. You can check out more shows like it at podfixnetwork.com.
Welcome to Super Movie Brothers, episode 60. I'm your host, Super Movie Brother Dave.
I'm your host, Super Movie Brother Jay.
All right, Jay. Now, for everyone else, we haven't been gone for a week, but for me and you, we've taken almost 2 weeks off. We had some pre-recorded audio that went out last week for our movie cocktail podcast. So I hope everybody got out and listened to our movie cocktail podcast on Howard the Duck. And we have a poll that's out right now. It'll probably be over by the time this episode comes out, but it'll be announcing what our next movie cocktail will be. I'm hoping it's Super Troopers because that's what I put on the list. And I'm not hoping for Coneheads because I'm really thinking about like how to do a drink for Coneheads. And I'm thinking it has to involve a condom.
Ooh.
Just because that scene, some chewing gum.
Or a cone.
Serve a drink in an ice cream cone. Yeah. So Jay, what have you been up into in the few weeks since we met?
I got a few things that were pretty cool, I think. A couple of weeks ago, I saw one of my, favorite comedians and movie critics, Mark Ellis from the Schmoes Know show and Collider Network, and he hosts a movie talk show.
Took some pictures with him too.
I did. Met him after the comedy act. He came to Philly and did a little stand-up act in Philly and met him. Really cool guy.
Where was this at? There's a couple. Was it at Helium? Was it at?
It was right next to Fillmore.
Laugh House. There's a couple. Around.
It's a new spot right next to Fillmore.
Okay.
I forget what it's called.
Okay, so he doesn't draw the crowd to
it was
pack
a cool
in Helium.
spot. No, probably not. But he was actually the opening act to this other guy. That'd be like underneath. He used to work like underneath like the Chelsea Handler kind of thing, So I guess he had that Chelsea lately fame at some point.
I guess so. I mean, so did Joe Coy.
Yeah, but Mark, I was actually a little bit late. I called only like the last 15 minutes of his act, but it was, and I've heard from other people. I met a friend down there afterwards, and she was like, he was the best one by far. And the guy was okay. He was good. He had his like little shtick, but Mark, like he just has like a presence, and he's just like genuinely funny.
Yeah,
and he does throw in a little movie zingers every once in a while to kind of play up some good comedic effect, but that was really, really cool. And of you can see some photos of me up there on Twitter and on I think on Facebook as well.
And the picture he did with you, he did the stereotypical short guy thing when he saw you and he mounted your back.
Well, that was definitely my friend. She was taking the photos and she wanted that for some reason.
Okay.
And I was like, "Are you sure you want to do this?" I'm like, "All right." Like, it was kind of a funny thing, and he actually, oh my god, he made the picture work with the finger point like across. Oh my god,
that's cool. Did you give him our card? Because we have business cards now, Jay. We're professionals.
I know. And I was talking about LA, and when I go out there, can we hook up or just can
and
I
he was
visit
probably
the
like,
studios?
No, you.
Well,
fucking,
I didn't really
nerd.
say that exactly. I was like, can we, can I do like a tour of the studio? Like I was talking about Schmoes Know. Is there any audience members? Like, nah, not right now. It's still just kind of friends and family watching the show live, but down the line probably. But whatever. I don't want to be too much of a creep. I brought baby carrots. I mean, that was pretty creepy enough.
Why'd you bring baby carrots?
That's his nickname for the Schmodown show, the movie trivia. It's Mark Baby Carrots Ellis.
Gotcha. See, so, I don't watch them. I know you do religiously, but I don't.
It's a good time. But and also we had the Newtown Beer Fest that we hung out at, and that was a lot of fun. It was really hot that day.
It was, and of course, we got there. First place we went to was Broken Goblet because I had to go see Mike before before going off and getting.
I'll be honest
smashed.
though, it was a little disappointing. I mean, it was huge, but I feel like I didn't have any kind of crazy beers that like blew my mind.
No, there wasn't.
I was really
was,
surprised
amazing.
by that. There was nothing that really blew my mind.
No, and a lot of them were already getting out their fall beers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'm not a huge fan of fall beers, but
and every place only had like 2 beers as an option. It wasn't like there was anything like more than that.
But I mean, we hit a bunch of breweries. Most of them are all breweries we've tried before. Maybe because we go to Newtown Beer Fest every year. So, well, at least I do. So it's mostly the same breweries that show up every year. I couldn't hear the music. They actually turned the music way down this year. So like you could barely, unless you were standing at the stage, you could barely hear any of the music. And it was really, really hot. And then by the time we were ready to leave, we got picked up by my dad. Obviously, we don't drive there because you get absolutely hammered. We get home, and me and Lauren get home, and we had another place to go to that night. So we
and you barely ate.
I know. So we like laid down, and I was like, all right, I'll just conk out for like an hour or two. We don't have to be anywhere till 8. We got home at like 5. So I lay down, and I wake up, and it's dark out, and I was like, oh shit, we got to go to that bonfire at your friend's house. And like I go running over, and I look at the time like in the kitchen, and I was like, it's 11:30. I passed out from 5:30 to 11:30. Day drinking just fucking kills you, man.
It kills you.
It just wipes you out
in the
so
sun,
much.
And the fact that you didn't eat. I'm not surprised. I would shake your hand if you were able to, because I did the same thing. I wasn't even that bad, and I didn't feel like I was that bad. But as soon as you get back and you just kind of like get away from all the craziness, your body just shuts down. And I did too. I napped for like 2.5 hours.
I think that's age though, because I know like there used to be times where I could drink from 7 a.m. to like 5 o'clock the next morning, and I could still just keep going. But now, like, I get a couple drinks in me, and it's like I gotta go to Nappy Land. Like, I just gotta lay down. And that's what I told my wife. I was like, all right, are you gonna take a nap? And she's like, yeah. I was like, well, if you wake up before me, wake me up so we can go to our friend's house for this bonfire. And then she's like, yeah.
And the friends are just sitting there, just all by them lonesome.
No, they had other people over. Other people came in from the city and stuff like that and hung out. We were the only ones that said we were coming who didn't come. So we're kind of the dicks.
It happens.
But I had a blast at Newtown Beer Fest because I always have a blast at beer fests. But also another thing, like most of the people that were like serving the beer and stuff, they weren't like very talkative. Like normally, like when you try a beer,
right.
they like to talk about it, like to tell you a little bit about it and stuff. Most of them, because of the fact that they are distributors from here who are distributing the beers for, like they don't actually have the brewmasters here. But if you went up to Broken Goblet, Mike was very talkative about Bubba's tea bag and about,
of course,
about Chai of the Sword. He was very talkative with people, and that's what I like when I go to beer fest. I like when people like talk to me about the beer and stuff like that. None of that was going on at all. And then, of course, you just couldn't get the balls up to talk to any women at all, except for women you had already slept with.
Yeah. But nobody really like. I don't know. There was a
lot of woo girls that were like good-looking woo girls, but then like you're kind of aging out of woo girls, you know?
Nothing really stuck out for me. I don't know. I was really surprised. I was expecting to see some prospects or something that was going to get me like at least tempted to go and talk to them. There wasn't too many. I'll tell you.
Me and Lauren love having our own type of fun, like when we're there. So like I always
busting on me is your favorite.
Well, yeah, we were doing that to your face and behind your back. But no, we always like looking at groups of people and then like figuring out their dynamic and stuff like that. But no, and also beer fest. It'd be tough for you to meet women because a lot of women go there with their boyfriends or their husbands and it's some type of significant other and stuff like that.
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, there was a couple people, and that's the thing. Like a lot of the even the single girl would have like their married friend with them, or like, but it'd be hard to tell. Like
you could have done
an awkward thing
for a guy like you with as many fetishes as you have.
I have practically none.
You could have just hung outside the bathroom area, like all the porta potties, and you could have been like, "Are you on your period? Are you on your period?
Oh my god,
Mr. Vampire, right here. I'm your guy."
Excuse me, lady. I know your boyfriend doesn't like to do it with you when you're on your period, but I can take over the ropes.
Can I tag in?
Can I tag in?
He can watch. I'm into that too.
All right, so moving on from that.
I love beer fest because women have to pee, and I like being peed on.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, God. So this past weekend, I had my MS bike ride event from Cherry Hill, New Jersey to Ocean City, New Jersey, and it's 80 miles. And, It's called Carol's Cruisers, our family group ride.
So this is a
family and friends.
This is a Martin Sheen, like like a bike ride?
It's cycling, road cycling, yes.
Okay.
So
what does MS stand for, Jay?
multiple sclerosis.
Oh, okay.
My aunt had it. She passed away at 59 years old, I believe it was. And
No, I think, ironically, Martin Sheen's character in The West Wing had MS.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I never watched the show.
So it does stand for multiple sclerosis, Martin Sheen.
See?
MSMS.
It's the spokesperson. And it was beautiful. It was really, really hot. It was sunny. But, as long as it's not raining, it's all good.
Did you have to stop every now and then and like open up the bottom of your tight bike shorts and just pour out like ass crack and ball sweat like onto the ground?
I'll tell you what. Yeah, my ass is still a little sore. It's just being on that bike for like almost 8 hours is a long time.
Well, Jay, that's because you always take the seat off. I mean, leave the seat on. You might be more comfortable. I
just got to put more lube on. That's all.
No, that's good. You're raising some money doing something for charity. That's
yeah. It was a lot of fun. My goddaughter did it for the first time, and she was on the tandem bike with my cousin, and that was pretty cool. And my sister and her boyfriend did it, and spent the day on the beach the following day, listened to the Eagles game on the first half on the beach, which was kind of neat, and then going back to the house and watching the second half was pretty cool, especially with that finale with the Eagles 61-yard kick for the win at 1 second left on the clock.
I heard.
It was exciting.
I didn't actually get to see it because this weekend, on Sunday we went to Wood Park Zoo. So we took my daughter and our niece to Wood Park Zoo, see some animals. And I like that zoo. It's a really small zoo. It's nowhere near as large as Philadelphia Zoo, but it also doesn't get as packed, and you have really up close personal experience with animals. So that's kind of cool. Saw some baby jaguars, which I'm convinced are the absolute most adorable animals in the animal kingdom. They're just absolutely adorable.
What color is their fur?
Baby jaguars?
Yeah.
Orange and black spots. Come on now.
For some reason, I thought they changed.
You're thinking of panthers that are
all black,
or
sure.
orange with white with black spots too. But anyway, we just had a great time just walking around and looking at the animals. They have a brewery there, so there's beer to try when you're there and stuff. Did not like either of the beers that they had on tap there, but that was fun. That's not really what I was there for. I also didn't want to drink that much because the night before we had some guests, some Podfix guests. So Bradley J from Who Spiked the Puns had stopped through on the last leg of his tour of America that he was doing.
So cool.
And he spent the night. They rented a very nice van that they could sleep in and stuff like that. It had a comfortable bed in it, so they stayed out in the van. But they did spend the night here. We had a bonfire with them. We hung around talking with them for a long time. Like we lit the fire at like 9 at night, and then I don't think we went to bed until 2:00 in the morning. So we were just hanging out by the fire drinking, and they can drink a lot. Like I think I bought a.
What'd you guys get?
I got a New Belgian mix pack. So I think there was 15 beers in that. It was like a 15 beer mix pack, and then I got another mixed 6-pack, and then I had some beers left in the fridge. All gone. All gone.
Holy shit.
We also bought 2 bottles of wine. So 2 bottles of wine when we didn't dip into the whiskey. It was just more of like a chill, just hang out, drink a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, threw it down now.
Yeah, seriously. But it was a lot of fun.
I wish I was able to come. That'd be fun.
My daughter absolutely loved Brad. Like when he walked out of the room, the one point, she watches the Australian kids show High Five. And when he walked out, she walked over to Lauren and she whispered in her ear, "They sound like High Five. He talks like High Five." And she was so excited. She thought she was like meeting a celebrity because he spoke with an accent. So
yeah, that's probably her first experience.
So just like any true American girl, she's enamored by any man with an accent.
Oh boy.
But lovely people, absolutely loved meeting them. And unfortunately, we had a bigger weekend plan, but it got cut short due to some personal issues that Brad had. He had to get back to Australia, cut his trip a week short and stuff like that. But I was just so happy to hook up and got a few pictures together and stuff like that. Had a great time. And he kept Luca in line. Luca did not make him his bitch. So to this day, Jay, only you are Luca's bitch. Everyone else learns the rules, man. You just get mounted by that dog every chance you.
No, I don't.
All right, so
We're just best friends.
All right, Jay, let's get into news real quick. Jay, I only have 3 really small news items to get through. The first news item to get through is a tweeted picture by Ron Howard of a mine shaft with an elevator in it. And the caption that he wrote on the bottom of it was spicy. Now, this is obviously for the movie that he's currently in production with, the Han Solo film. And does it say a lot? No, it just kind of teases something. So there's obviously the famous line about the Millennium Falcon is that she made the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs. Well, Kessel is a mining planet that mines spice. So hence spicy. Right. So they're teasing that they're going to have the Kessel Run in this film. And I think that's like obvious, right? If the whole point of these, like,
I guess so.
If the whole point of like these origin
it was an interesting
stories,
photo,
right, is to basically build upon things that were said in the original films, a group of spies stole us the plans to the Death Star, and that's how we got these. Well, we got a whole movie about that. So now it's like, now we're going to get a whole movie that is about Han Solo and all the stuff that he said that he was cool. Maybe we'll actually meet a bounty hunter on Ord Mantell. I don't know. But yeah, he's, and this isn't big news or anything. Like, I feel like it was kind of obvious that we were going to see the Kessel Run. We were going to see what makes the Millennium Falcon, so revered in the smuggler world and everything like that. The other bit of news that came out was that some actors are going to be returning to the film Glass. Glass is in pre-production for M. Night Shyamalan.
I'm excited.
It is the sequel to Unbreakable. I would temper that excitement, Jay. Long-awaited sequels don't always pan out too well.
Yes, I know, but some people think that Split was a somewhat, not a sequel or whatever, but it just lived in the same world. And that was almost good enough for them. So,
and that was good enough for me. I've not soured on Split, but I have watched it several times now, and I'm like, you know what? I think I just enjoyed it the first watch around, and now
because it's surprising. It's not something that you expect.
It's not so enjoyable now. There's a lot of stupid moments in that film, and when you watch it again, like, the stupidity of a lot of it just mounts up. I would probably change my score in retrospect, having seen it more than several times.
I could definitely see that for sure, but. I think it's exciting as far as having Anya Taylor-Joy confirm that she's going to return in Glass, or have some kind of role in it, which makes sense. So does make sense.
So that's what the news is.
And James McAvoy he's not dead. He's out there.
They've been announcing people who are going to be returning. It's James McAvoy will be making some sort of reappearance in it. We obviously know that Samuel L. Jackson will be back, and Bruce Willis, and possibly Anya Taylor-Joy. But
hopefully Bruce comes back ready to act. Because we did our trailer park last week. And,
oh my God, yeah,
and that was that was tough.
Jay, that was 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. And it's unfortunate, but. Hopefully, I'm just really excited because I think these kind of characters and these kind of actors can sprinkle in some really cool movie magic.
So the actors that are now confirmed to return are more side characters, but Spencer Treat Clark is going to reprise his role as David Dunn's son, Joseph. And I'm actually kind of happy about that because I loved that dynamic in that film. The son who finds out his dad's a superhero, and that scene where he points the gun at him and everything like that. I just want to see like what type of adult he's become. I want to see, does he have powers too? What's the deal there? And then also Charlene Woodard is going to reprise her role as Mr. Glass's mother. And she had a very small role in Unbreakable. It was.
Yeah.
But, I'm not sure what her role is really going to be, because it kind of feels like she'd be too old to even be alive, like at this point. I mean, how old is Samuel L. Jackson? He's pushing 70. Like, he's pretty up there.
He's definitely up there.
Yeah, or he's definitely in his 60s.
He looks great. But,
yeah. He looks great. But these are just some things. They're just kind of no news on story or anything like that. Obviously, Mr. Glass has to get out of prison at some point.
Yeah, I mean, he's gonna come back with a certain kind of vengeance, I think. And
I don't see. I'm still not like on board with M. Night Shyamalan. I really don't think this film is.
Well, I'm not 100% back on his bandwagon or something like that.
Yeah, I don't think this is poised to be like anything great. Like, I think I'm going to go see it and hope it can be as close to as good as Unbreakable. And if I get
the unfortunate thing is they're going to hype the shit out of this one.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I'm a little worried about.
Because this is the one that people wanted sequel to the very most. So,
and it's good for headlines, and that's kind of unfortunate because I don't, normally these kind of genre movies, you want them to catch you, like bite you, like kind of fly under the radar and bite you and really grab you. It's kind of like what Split did. I don't think many people thought the Split was going to be as enjoyable as it was when we saw it in theaters, because it's an early spring, late winter kind of release. So there's not that much out there, and this kind of comes around, and James McAvoy really kind of delivered the film for M. Night, I think, in a lot of ways.
Yeah. He was definitely.
So I mean, his acting was pretty spectacular.
I think if other actors besides him and Anya Taylor-Joy weren't in that film,
sure, yeah.
that film would have bombed.
I agree with that.
Would have bombed.
I actually have a little bit of news that I thought was kind of interesting. Mother received a rare cinema score of F.
Yes.
And it's funny with this marketing now, because Paramount is now like relishing it. They're like doing like reverse like kind of marketing as far as like showing all the negative reviews on this like one sheets and stuff, and like just trying to get, because this is the most talked about movie so far that I can recall this year. And I agree, because this is one of those movies where I did not like it at first. I saw it, came out of theaters, and graded it.
Can I be honest?
Relatively low.
I don't like Aronofsky that much. I was having a conversation about this on our Podfix chat.
Okay.
I don't like Aronofsky that much. I mean, I have Aronofsky films that I really like.
Sure.
Obviously, Requiem for a Dream, I love. The Wrestler, I enjoyed, and The Fountain. Like, that's it. His other movies, Noah, I wasn't hot on. Black Swan, I wasn't hot on.
I like that one.
And this one, I was like, it just doesn't look like it's going to be great. And sure enough, man, it's full.
It's full of itself, and there's a lot of metaphors inside of the movie that can be taken in many different kind of ways. And I know exactly what the director was going for, and I know exactly how people can perceive it as far as the basic movie-going audience, and I think it does not work in that way whatsoever. And I think that's a big part of why they gave it an F.
So here's the thing: there's
literally 30 minutes of fuck you noise, one after another after another after another. It is a crazy movie where it's almost at the point where I feel like people should see, especially like, film geeks, should see just from the experience alone, because it is a movie that just sticks with you, better for worse. And, and then later on, over a week later, I'm still thinking about it. I mean, even the random headlines I see sporadically, it's still in my mind. It's a weird movie, and I respect it more.
You know what movie
that
came out this year?
Change over time, but.
You know what movie came out this year that the trailers reminded me a lot of the trailers for Mother and stuff like that, where it wasn't telling you a lot about what was going on and stuff like that? It Comes at Night.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed that movie. But for some reason,
it's hard to market these films.
Yeah, it's really hard to say, like, you're in for, you can't say like, oh man, you're in for a real, highbrow mind fucking treat that, like if you want to sit and watch this movie 10 times, you might, depending where you are in your state of mind, you might come out to a different conclusion each time. It's going to be fun, right?
It's true.
And that would scare most people off. So they had to market this again as like they did for It Comes at Night as a horror film. They had to market it as horror, or at least as thriller, suspense.
It's more of a nightmare movie, kind of.
But, when you look at Mother's marketing, when was the first time we saw a trailer for Mother?
Oh, it was all within like
2 months ago?
A couple weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, essentially as far as the marketing, there was a trailer, but, it came out, I think, in Toronto Film Festival or something like that, like a week or two before the release date.
Exactly.
And he knew one, it was either going to be really bad, or two, they really wanted to be hush-hush about it. And you saw how minimal the trailer was. Like, it didn't give that much away. It was very eerie. You knew there was some crazy shit that's going to happen, but you didn't know what the hell it was about whatsoever.
I mean, it's got a phenomenal cast. Javier Bardem.
Sure, yeah.
You know,
I mean, it's all
Michelle Pfeiffer.
It was all great acting. I mean, and it's a well made, but it's what he made is just so bonkers. Whew. It's out there, I'll tell you. And you know, It Comes at Night is just another one of those films where it's the opposite of that, where it was very minimal and very psychological and you know, a dystopian kind of like landscape of sorts where, you know, you're using your mind a lot more as far as like that movie's playing tricks with your head a little bit more in different kind of ways than Mother does.
Okay.
You know, but yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting, and I find it interesting that Paramount is really, really being bold with putting this out there and an open, wide release.
They're not being bold.
And then
he's an Academy Award-winning director,
but also defending it.
Yeah,
and saying, you know, like, well, when Netflix, you know, puts out all this original content, why can't we? Like, come on.
Because
I mean, I get it.
Because it's
true.
easier to sit at home and pay, you know, $7.99 to $11.99 a month and
just that,
stream content than it is to pay $20 to go to a theater and then watch something experimental. It's a lot easier to experiment with a Netflix format than it is to experiment with a big Hollywood format.
That's the problem with big studio marketing. If they don't nail the proper genre or the proper tone of this movie with basic audiences, they're gonna be fucking pissed off. Just like Drive. Just like The American, both movies I adore and love, they're completely different than what the trailers showed to TV spots in the movie theaters. They're completely different. They're all action-packed looking. They're all like, oh, cool, hero, action.
Drive was marketed as like a modern Western revenge tale, you know?
Yeah, and The American was like,
it was a modern Western revenge tale. They marketed it correctly. They just left out all the weird Technicolor and the weird soundtrack and Albert Brooks being a mob boss. That was
very rated R.
That was hard to
head stomping, skull cracking, and
so
Christina Hendricks' mind being blown up.
Last bit of news is it's been confirmed by Arnold Schwarzenegger that Terminator 6, which is being produced by James Cameron, will completely ignore Terminator Genesis. So everybody gets their wish.
I never even saw it, so I don't even know what the fuck the story was about.
Doesn't exist now.
It shouldn't.
Complete waste of time for anybody who saw it. Complete waste of fans for Terminator. But let's face it, there's a lot of things that should be stricken from Terminator's record. I mean, you know, James Cameron should pretty much take it back over, and if he's going to start producing films for it now, I think they should sit on it for a long time. But unfortunately, Arnold is aging, and I guess Cameron wants to keep Arnold in it.
But Arnold can't move.
No,
like I don't know what they're going to do with him.
I think what they should do is ignore everything that has happened after Terminator 2. Ignore everything. Ignore Terminator Salvation. Completely ignore Terminator 3. Completely ignore Sarah Connor Chronicles, Genesis, anything that had to do with Terminator after T2. Just completely ignore it, and they even tried to retcon Genesis and say like, no, everything can exist because we kind of fucked up this timeline now. We've time traveled. Woo! Just completely ignore it all, and just continue telling Cameron's tale of it. And it seems like they might do that, but they said that Genesis is stricken from the record. They didn't say that. Now Salvation takes place in the future, so you can completely ignore that and say that future has changed, and that's fine.
Well, I mean, even the Christian Bale, Sam Worthington one was boring garbage. A fucking professional. You're a fucking professional.
Anyway, so coming up next, Jay's got his little indie darling that he wants to talk to you about. So we are going to go ahead and pour ourselves a bourbon neat, wear some ironic clothing, go sit in our little indie corner. So stay tuned. Welcome back. Hope you guys are wearing your square frame glasses and you did pull yourself a bourbon knee because we're about to go deep inside Jay's Indie Corner. Jay, what's the indie film you got for us this week?
2013's Enemy.
You ready for this fake synopsis? I don't have one. It's kind of hard to make up a fake synopsis off of one word.
I hear you.
I mean, so I'm going to assume the film is about two people who don't get along and are therefore enemies.
Interesting take. Okay. So I chose this movie for two reasons. One, it's directed by Denis Villeneuve, who has Blade Runner 2049 coming out in a couple weeks, but also mostly because of the whole big what the fuck moment kind of thing at the very end of the movie. And Mother had that recently. So this was one of those movies for me that was one of those experiences watching it. And, you know, it stars Jake Gyllenhaal. He's playing a dual role. So he's like this kind of like a professor who's just kind of going through a routine, really stuck in a relationship, stuck in his job. He's just kind of bored. And he just kind of rents a movie one day. And all of a sudden he sees this guy in the movie. Not a big star or anything like that, really. But he looks exactly like him.
Oh, Bowfinger.
So he kind of...
So you're telling me Denis Villeneuve stole his script from Bowfinger?
Maybe. I don't know. So he becomes obsessed with finding this guy, like, and, you know, and he kind of starts stalking a little bit and gets, you know, acquainted with his wife, and then meets him, confronts him, and they're literally identical. Like, they just have like the same kind of body, same kind of birthmarks. You know, it's very, very peculiar. I don't know how to explain this movie any farther than...
Then why'd you pick it? Jesus
Because I want
Christ.
people to go to see it. Because I want people to see it. Because it's one of those films that...
I like this movie, but I can't explain why I like it.
There are rare... In the indie worlds, there are movies that like that, where like there's movies that you can't talk about too much because it just spoils it. And it's too confusing to really dive into because... You know, it will spoil it, and it's confusing, and it has apparently all right. So essentially, this guy is just going through a psychosis break of sorts.
So this actor actually doesn't look a goddamn thing like him at all.
No, he does. It's Jake Gyllenhaal, and
it's meta. Like Jake Gyllenhaal plays Jake Gyllenhaal, and he plays a guy who looks like Jake Gyllenhaal.
Right. Jake Gyllenhaal is a professor, and he spots a movie actor that looks just like him. And then there's a scene, literally, they're like touching each other, like both Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I mean, like they pull down their pants and they're just like same size. I knew it. You want to touch it? Heck yeah, it's like touching mine.
I think they might have. No,
it's not gay. It's just masturbation.
It's my dick. It's it's all good. So this movie essentially has some really interesting things and little Easter eggs throughout. And I will give you one insect that plays prominent throughout the movie: spiders.
Ooh.
And women.
Jay,
and there's like certain kind of things.
Jay, you just sold me on this movie with one word: spiders. Dude, I mean, why is this movie good? I mean, as all you can say
is... Go watch this movie and find out.
I was just saying, it's good. Go watch this movie and find out. A rinning endorsement. They're going to put that on the DVD case for Enemy
All
now.
I have to say is...
Super Movie Brothers say, go see this movie.
Jake Gyllenhaal
You'll like it.
And Denis Villeneuve, go see it. It's a movie that you're going to be like, what the fuck, at the very, very last shot, and you're going to want to talk about it. So hit me up and let's talk about it. So... And actually, also, if you guys need a breakdown of this movie, go on YouTube, check out my boy Chris Stuckman. He has a really awesome, great explanation throughout the whole film about all the confusing bits throughout the film.
Ever the wordsmith. This is why you have the shortest segment on the show.
Well, I never said I was a wordsmith. And I didn't really write anything out because I knew there wasn't really much to write out because I just want people to go see this and I can't spoil too much and there's not much to really say without spoiling it. So
is this like a Prince and the Pauper type thing? Like, we look alike, so we steal each other's identities, and I want to live a commoner's life, and I want to live a rock star
Nothing like that. It's psychological.
God, I hate it. Jay, out of principle, for your poor explanation
This is
of this
for
film.
my people, the indie world.
But out of principle, for your poor explanation of that film, I'm never going to fucking see it now. Every time I see it somewhere and it's streaming or it's free, I'm like, fuck no. Because Jay couldn't tell me why I should see that movie. All I know is it's got Jake Gyllenhaal, and I don't even like him that much. And then it's got Denis Villeneuve, and sure, Arrival was awesome.
See, that is reason enough for me to watch movies sometimes.
Is Jake Gyllenhaal?
Well, at least lately.
By that logic, then everyone should go out and just rent Donnie Darko and fucking fall in love with it like you're 17.
As you should.
No, that movie sucks.
It's great.
That movie sucks.
Oh,
that movie sucks so fucking hard.
No.
That movie.
It's another one of those. Okay, so be prepared for a movie like Donnie Darko. It's a confusing movie.
God,
it's going to be one of those movies where like you're going to be like, what is going on? What does this mean?
Your endorsement is just like, it's like a landslide. Like
some people love that stuff. Some people like to really, just like, you're not going to like Mother either then, because like it's one of those movies that like you have to see it with people and have a conversation with them. Otherwise,
yet you saw Mother alone.
You can't talk about it. I know, because there's nobody else that would see it. And I want to talk about it with people. That's why I'm like reading a lot of like different kind of reactions from different kind of critics. But whatever. Either way, like if you're one of those people that likes those kind of movies that you have to go to the diner afterwards or the bar and talk for like an hour about this film with your friends, and you don't have anybody to talk to about it, hit me up. I will hit you up and talk to you as much as you want. We'll just, dissect the shit out of it. It's a lot of fun.
I guess. I don't know. I'm just saying, the way you described this movie.
I respect the hell out of it.
You started off just by saying it has Jake Gyllenhaal and he has a look-alike, and that's all you'll say about it. So that was like one boulder rolling down the hill, and then you were like, I'm not going to tell you anything about it. But you just got to see it because of Denis Villeneuve, and that's the only reason. And it's just like a landslide.
That's enough. That's enough.
That's not.
Sometimes that's enough.
Yeah, it's not enough for me.
Okay.
There's not enough. There's so many holes in your. I'm never going to see this film now. Never. I will fucking never see it, and I will champion for nobody else to go see it. No one else ever sees this fucking movie either. Especially because you compared it to Donnie Darko, and that movie's fucking garbage too.
See, that's another movie. It's a black and white movie. Either people love it or hate it.
I fucking hate that movie.
And you're on that camp, and I love it. So
you know why you love it? Because Swayze plays a pedophile. That's why you fucking like it.
Oh God.
Just another movie with pedophilia in it.
He was never charged.
He was arrested.
Oh, whatever. I don't know.
Pretty sure it's a scene where he's getting put in a cop car.
Oh, at the very end.
Yeah. He was charged, Jay. So will you soon enough.
Oh, my God.
All right. So coming up next, me and Jay got our beer segment for you, and we are going to do our drunk scene of the week. So stay tuned. Welcome back to the beer segment. So this week, for our drunk scene, the past 2 weeks we've done beerfest, and then we did old school, and it's very easy to just continue throwing incredibly funny scenes that involve drinking in it out there. But the fact is, some really great scenes in dramas and in other types of films have used drinking to great effect as well.
Absolutely.
Well, drinking in movies is almost always used to comedic effect or to bring you down,
or dramatic effect, or
right.
Something to it's interesting.
So the scene that we're talking about this week is the scene in The Shining where Jack Nicholson sits down in front of the bar and he meets Lloyd, the bartender.
Hi, Lloyd. A little slow tonight, isn't it?
Yes, it is, Mr. Torrance. What'll it be?
I'm awfully glad you asked me that, Lloyd, because I just happen to have 2 20s and 2 10s right here in my wallet. I was afraid they were going to be there till next April. So here's what. You slip me a bottle of bourbon, a little glass, and some ice. You can do that, can't you, Lloyd? You're not too busy, are you?
No, sir. I'm not busy at all.
Good man. You set him up and I'll knock him back, Lloyd. One by one. White man's burden, Lloyd, my man. White man's burden. Say, Lloyd, it seems I'm temporarily late. How's my credit in this joint, anyway?
Your credit's fine, Mr. Torrance.
That's swell. I like you, Lloyd. I always liked you. You were always the best of them. Best goddamn bartender from Timbuktu to Portland, Maine. Or Portland, Oregon, for that matter.
A movie that came out this year kind of parodied this a little bit with Passengers.
Passengers definitely did.
And it did it awfully. It was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. But I just absolutely love the way that this scene starts with, it's just a camera that holds for almost like 30 seconds on Jack Nicholson as his hands are over his head and he's like just kind of like wiping the stress off of himself. And
Yeah, and I love that. And I love that standing cam, and you can hear the silence. Like you can just hear the silence almost, and it's very awkward. You feel his, his stress, his lonesomeness. He's very. He's looking for an out. He's looking for something. And
throughout the film, it's a known fact that he had a drinking problem, and part of the reason he took this job was so he could focus on his writing and for himself to probably not focus on drinking. He's going to be up there, and all the liquor has already been taken out of the hotel. So really, this scene is in his head. I mean, it really doesn't. None of this is really happening. So he's not even getting drunk. Really, it's just he's putting himself in the mental state of being drunk,
he's losing his mind.
Right, so that he can cope with everything. And I absolutely love that. And I love when he's just like, I got 2 20s and 2 10s in my wallet, and I was afraid they were going to be here until next April. And then he opens up his wallet and it's empty. Say, Lloyd, how's my credit in this joint? But I absolutely love this Jack Nicholson scene. It's one of my favorite Jack Nicholson scenes because of that camera, just the way it holds on it. Yeah. And of course, he starts getting into he's being accused by his wife of abusing their son, and he goes into kind of like this monologue where he's just like, I would never lay a finger on him. He's like, I would never hurt him. I've never hurt him. He's like, all right, well, I did hurt him once. But then he starts he basically starts defending himself in that he did dislocate his son's arm once while he was drunk, and he said it's just because he's like a couple square inches of pressure and it wouldn't have happened less. He's like, I just put a little bit too much pressure, and he's like, and I popped his arm out. He's like, he doesn't understand why that's such a problem. To him, it's just like, that was a mistake. Mistakes happen. Right. He doesn't understand that mistake was caused by his drinking. So, I mean, it's just one of those scenes, and it's in one of my favorite films. I just absolutely love that entire movie. And it's really kind of the beginning of him spiraling out of control. I mean, that's really where him spiraling out of control really begins, is his thought process where he thinks he's drinking again. Yeah,
and they give you a good amount of time to really soak it into it, and witness it firsthand.
Yeah, and his facial expressions. I mean, Jack Nicholson has some of the best facial expressions. And it's funny because a scene like this, while it is sort of like a dramatic scene, it is a very heavy scene, there is levity to it, and it comes in his facial expressions, and it comes in the way that you're kind of sad for him, a bit when you're seeing him in this state. And he's laughing, but it's almost like this sick desperation in his laugh, Yeah. And I absolutely love it. It's this is absolutely one of my favorite films of all time. So it's definitely my favorite horror film of all time. So Jay, we got some drinking to do ourselves.
We do.
Far less. We're not on the deep end in this, though.
Not yet.
Yeah,
not yet.
We don't have problems yet. So the beer I'm drinking tonight is the Victory Brewing Company Homegrown New American Lager. Victory Brewing Company is out of Downingtown, Pennsylvania. This is a lager that is brewed with whole flower American hops. And Jay, it is absolutely glorious. This thing marries a pale ale and a lager together so beautifully. Like,
it's good to hear.
it is absolutely golden in color. It's not dark like the like the Yingling Indian Pale Lager is. The hop profile on it is very hop. It's very hop back. You only feel the hop. You only taste the hops at the very end of your sip. It's just such a juicy lager. It just tastes so good, so full-bodied, so crisp. I absolutely love it. I went to our beer store to find beers last week, and there was a guy there who was doing a tasting, and he was like, would you like to try some? And I was like, I've actually tried all of them. But he had actually purchased this beer for himself to sip on the side. So what he did was he just poured a little bit of it into the taster glass, and he's like, what do you think? And I was like, that's really good. He goes, isn't it? And I was like, yeah. And I went and bought a 6-pack. It was funny that he wasn't there representing Victory, but like he just liked beer so much, could tell that I liked beer. So
yeah,
suggested something that was off his menu, and I ended up going home with it. And I ended up sharing this with our house guests that were here this weekend, and I absolutely love it, Jay. I'm giving it a 4.5. I love it. Like, absolutely love it.
Excellent. So I have the Allagash Black. It's a Belgian-style stout, 7.5 alcohol by volume, and it, it's got a really nice dark and like a roasted nut kind of flavor to it. And of course, you got that little bit of a chocolatey espresso kind of taste. But again, since I'm going
roasted nuts, it's 95 degrees outside, sir. It's so hot.
But like with my allergies going on right now, my senses are not as sharp as they should be or normally are. So unfortunately, nose, I'm not getting much on the nose, and it has like this weird kind of smell. But the taste is pretty solid. I mean, it's exactly what he described it as. It doesn't have that creamy kind of finish to it. It's got a little bit of that like slightly lightly carbonated kind of bite to it.
Creamy. Yeah.
But it's not bad. It's not bad. I think I've had better black stouts.
I've had better black cream.
Black cream stouts.
Better black cream.
So I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 5. I mean, I think it's solid. It's nothing special, but
very good. All right,
it's got a cool bottle.
And Jay, just to the reason we're doing these, and we've ended Oktoberfest. We did all of our Oktoberfest beers that we're going to do, and we didn't want to jump right into doing pumpkin beers because let's face it, pumpkin beers need to be, for us anyway. We don't like them. They need to be worked in ever so gently.
Oh yeah.
You don't want to cause a tear. You just gotta, we gotta lube it up.
You gotta lube it up,
and we gotta
thoroughly.
We gotta fit it in just
one
right.
tip at a time.
So we have a bonus beer this week. So we are going to get into our first pumpkin beer. Me and Jay are going to split this review, and we're just probably both going to hate it because according to my wife, it is extremely pumpkin-y. Now this is the New Belgian Voodoo Ranger special release, Atomic Pumpkin Ale. So I mean, I reviewed, I think, the entire Voodoo Ranger line, which is the 8-hop pale ale, the Voodoo Ranger IPA, and the Voodoo Ranger double IPA. But now they have this Atomic Pumpkin. And you'd think with, all the hoppy beers that the Voodoo Ranger has had come out, that this would be like a hoppy pumpkin. Nope.
Ooh.
This is a heavily spiced.
It's very spicy.
Pumpkin ale.
And I took a couple sips, and that second sip really got me in the throat. Even.
Yeah, you get a lot more in this than you do pumpkin. Like, this is almost like a pumpkin pie because you get a lot of nutmeg.
It does.
You get a lot of hazelnut.
Yep.
You get a lot of cinnamon flavors. And it's very light on the pumpkin. However, it is way too fucking sweet for me.
And this is even the sweetest kind of pumpkin beers that we've had. I remember before last year, this is just a different type of version. This is almost like it's like a spiced.
Yeah.
It's almost like a spiced pumpkin latte of sorts,
Yeah.
but like in a beer form. It's
actually burning the back of my throat. Like, it's so spicy.
It's very peculiar. Well, obviously we don't like it. But, so yeah, so how do we grade these again?
Oh man, that's right. Yeah, we have to grade it as.
Should we grade them on shit level or no?
If I was grading this as like a beer, like just as a beer and not as a pumpkin beer, it's a 1.
It's like, yeah.
It's a 1.
Can you go 0.5? I mean,
but as a pumpkin beer, I'll go with like a 2.5.
That's what we have to do. We have to grade these as straight up pumpkin beers.
Yeah. As a pumpkin beer, I'm going to go 2.5.
I don't know. That was.
I just burped and it was terrible tasting in the back of my mouth. It was just awful.
I feel like you know what, 2.5 is probably about right. It probably is.
Yeah, God, it's just terrible.
It is bad.
I bought my wife a 6-pack of this, and this is the last one remaining. And even she, who was a huge pumpkin beer fan, she really liked this beer. By the time she had drank 5 of them, she's like, I don't even want to drink that other one. It's just too much. Oh. It's just too much.
Well, yeah, that burning in the back of the throat. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it's and that's not pumpkin. I mean, that's the spices.
Yeah.
It's just
heavily
super spicy, man. Super spicy. All right.
Oh, well.
Coming up next, me and Jay got a trailer park.
Be
for
prepared,
you.
everybody. We're going to be doing a lot of complaining in the future with the beer segments, and
that's true.
You can check us out on Untapped app, and spot what we're drinking. Other than the pumpkin beers that we're reviewing, on our downtime, Dave, right?
Yeah. Anything you want to throw up there from the downtime? I don't really report to you my beers on my downtime. I don't know whether I'm going to just flood your inbox with pictures of beers and my score. I don't know. I'm not.
Maybe if you are, raving on a beer, for example.
Yeah, I would definitely do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So coming up next, me and Jay are going to be doing our trailer park. We got 3 movies that we're doing trailer park for. We got Tomb Raider, Island of Dogs, and the second trailer for Murder on the Orient Express. So stay tuned.
Beer! Thunderstruck! Thunderstruck! Yeah, Thunderstruck! Thunderstruck!
Welcome back to Trailer Park. So we got 3 films that we're going to be talking about the trailers for. The Murder on the Orient Express trailer number 2, because the first trailer was really just a teaser trailer. It really just kind of
sets up all the actors and the characters,
right? And then the other 2 trailers are the first trailer for Tomb Raider, which is a film that doesn't come out until middle of next year.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a summer film.
It's not even a teaser trailer.
It's it's a full trailer,
a full first trailer.
And then the last one we're going to be talking about is Isle of Dogs. Hey. Jay's got some thoughts on that one, let me tell you. So first up, Murder on Orient Express.
Would you mind if I join you? You're the world-famous detective, Hercule Poirot, avenger of the innocent. Is that what they call you in the papers?
And you are innocent? A passenger has died. He was murdered. The murderer is on the train with us now. And every one of you is a suspect.
Cannot trust no one. Another one?
This film, so far, none of the marketing has done a goddamn thing for me. At all.
Well, first of all, they haven't done too much. I know it comes out in November. I guess November 10th. So they're waiting a little bit. It's got a hell of a cast, and it's got a great director. Kenneth Branagh can deliver a really good film.
It's going to have a cast. It's going to have, as if the film could have a film.
Did I say gonna or gotta? Gotta cast? I don't know.
It's going to have a cast.
Well, it's got a large cast, that's for sure.
It's not a film where they just film a brick wall for 4 hours.
No, just people inside of a train throughout the whole film. Yeah, but no, I thought the energy looked really cool in this film.
I mean, the setup is like Clue, right? I mean,
sure.
A murder happens in a house, and you got to figure out who it is. Or Agatha Christie, and then there were none, stuff like that. So, there's a murderer on the train. The train, no one gets off the train, no one gets on the train. The murder happened between stops. So therefore, someone who was on the train had to commit the murder, and it happens to be the world's greatest detective with the sweetest motherfucking mustache you'll ever see happens to be on board, and he is going to solve it. And then, of course, this trailer teases that every single person would have a motive because the man who was killed was a known gangster.
Right.
And I'm sure that, and the gangster is played by Johnny Depp, who I am so fucking sick of looking at his bloated fucking ass. I'm so sick of it.
Yeah, I guess he's playing maybe like a Chicago mobster or something like that. Maybe, I don't know. He's got a little bit of an accent. He has some scarring on his face. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know how he's gonna do, but it's got a hell of a cast, and it's one of those things where it reminds me of like a soap opera. I'm gonna eat this up. Like, this is like my kind of like, I'm gonna have fun with this. Like, it's gonna be a great mystery. I love
murder mysteries.
All on a nice like time period setting in this lush train. It's gonna be cool.
For me, I was kind of hoping like this was gonna be like one of those, like, at least what the trailer shows. Trailer shows like a lot of like these action bits, like they stop the train, he's chasing someone down on the roof of the train like while it's moving. There's another one where he's running alongside the train, he's watching feet.
I hope there's not too much of it. I think it might be just the
they
trailer.
have like that scene where where the detective is falling and he's falling through the scaffolding and stuff like that.
Right.
Then I was just like, I was kind of hoping this would be more like a detective story where like he's talking to each one of them. Each one of them will have like an interaction with them. And I'm hoping that since Johnny Depp's the murder victim, that he's not in it too much. But because it's Johnny Depp, he will be in every single flashback of every single story that they tell.
Small little bits.
Yeah, I mean, I would like it if each one of these characters was going to be flushed out. I'm not entirely sure with such a large cast, because it's got to have a cast, Jay. That
where does it?
that they're going to have enough time to really flush any all these characters out. What you'll probably get is 2 or 3 of them that get really flushed out, and the other ones will probably just be kind of there as red herrings and stuff like that. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to be a bad film. The marketing so far has done nothing to really like...
No, it hasn't. It really hasn't. But it's at the same time, I don't know. I think they're just being patient with it maybe, and maybe it's not that great. I don't know. We'll see. But it's one of those things where, I'm going to still enjoy watching it. I think I'm going to see it probably opening weekend, and hopefully my movie pass comes in by then. Because it has not. It's been almost a month.
No one's has. Justin from So I Married a Movie Geek.
Crazy.
He signed up right around the same time as you, and his still hasn't come. So, I really don't think that's going to be coming anytime soon.
But either way, it's Kenneth Branagh can deliver an interesting film that surprises sometimes. Like Cinderella. You saw Cinderella, correct?
Which one?
The latest one with Cate Blanchett.
No.
Lily James. No, I heard it was good though.
Cinderella.
Yeah, I heard it was surprisingly good.
This is like the live action one?
Right.
Oh, yeah, we did put it on for my daughter. I didn't really pay attention to it. I know that her name is not Cinderella in it. Her name is just Ella. And then because she gets cinder on her from the fireplace, then they start calling her Cinderella.
Ugh.
Yeah. I stopped paying attention to it. It's pretty shitty. But anyway, Murder on the Orient Express is based on an Agatha Christie novel. So if you want to solve the mystery before the film comes out, go read a classic novel, because she was a great author back in the day, and I still love the book. And then there were none. And the movie that was made off of that, 10 Little Indians. So coming up next, the next one that we're going to be talking about is Tomb Raider.
What's your name?
Laura.
Surname?
Croft. Laura, your father's gone. You can pick up where he left off. I see so much of him in you. Brilliant.
Hello, Sprout. If you're listening to this, then I must be dead. I found something. A tomb called the Mother of Death. If Trinity succeeds, our world is in danger. Promise me you will stop them.
I promise. I think I know where my dad went.
is right in the middle of the Devil's Sea.
It will be an adventure.
Death is not an adventure.
You shouldn't have come here, but I'm glad that you did.
So Tomb Raider is based off of the 2013 video game that revitalized the series. So the
originally starring Angelina Jolie and now starring
no,
our girl.
No, I'm talking about revitalized the video game franchise. So
okay.
It was a classic video game franchise that was on the PlayStation 1. And then it kind of got real goofy, real silly, and it kind of fell by the wayside. And then in 2013, they kind of came out and they rebranded it very much like the Uncharted series that came out, which we are going to be getting an Uncharted film in the next couple of years. But it was very much like in that vein. But what they did was they took this female protagonist and they put her in like this Rambo no-win situation, and she has to use her survival skills to take out a group of militants called Trinity, and she has to beat them to the MacGuffin. And it was just such a great game with so many great elements. It was a good story, and it was absolutely brutal. Like, that game was brutal. If you jumped at the wrong time and Laura fell, you watched her fall like down a cliff, like bang off the rocks, land into the water, and then like you would see like her like just drowned, and like you would watch her die in awful, terrible ways. And it seems like they're getting a lot of that into this trailer.
I can see that, yeah.
So this is based off of the first game in this new series, where she's going to the island. She finds out that her father ran afoul of this militant organization called Trinity, and she's going to the island. She's basically shipwrecked on there, and she has to take them. She basically has to take them on by herself and use her survival skills. And I mean, while the game was brilliant, I'm not, entirely sure that this movie's going to be brilliant, but I can tell you what, just from early on, the action is going to be absolutely awesome.
Yeah, it actually even has like hints of like Indiana Jones, set pieces and stuff like that.
And that's what I wanted to get into.
On top of it, I think they're trying to do a lot of practical things in there as well, and
so like,
throw that in.
Throwing homage back to the game that it's based off of. Like, there's a scene in the trailer where she falls and she bounces off of a log that is stuck between two cliffs, and then she hits the water like hard, and you follow her and you watch her like hit the water hard and everything like that. And that's exactly how it was in the game. And for this, this is a video game movie. And I said a lot more video game movies are going to start coming out. You're going to see a lot of them, and they're going to start getting better. I thought that Assassin's Creed might have been the one to do it. But I mean, let's face it, Assassin's Creed kind of has this weird story where like that apple thing they talked about it the whole time was an element that was in the games, but it's like this supernatural element, It involves aliens, it involves history, alternate history, it involves this weird, and it's very hard pill to swallow in one movie. I think they tried to do too much in one movie with Assassin's Creed. But with Tomb Raider, it's already a formula that we as movie fans understand. We understand Rambo. We understand, one versus many. We also understand the adventure. We understand Indiana Jones. We understand, the Brendan Fraser Mummy. We understand that type of action adventure flick that this kind of is. So I think that because the subject matter of the game lends itself to movies far better than some other video games, it doesn't take place in space. It doesn't involve crazy, supernatural things going on. Even though the video game did have supernatural elements to it, so did Indiana Jones. I mean, Nazi faces melted because a box got opened,
Yep.
A man turned into a skeleton and then exploded because he drank from the wrong cup. And there was a man who was able to have his heart ripped out of his chest and still live long enough to feel the flames of a fucking volcano. So you can fit supernatural elements in. It just all depends on how you do it. Now, obviously, from this trailer, all we're really seeing is the action.
Right, and a little bit of the flair of Lara Croft and how Alicia Vikander is going to like embody her, and she looks solid. She looks good, and
that gives me a lot of hope for the film that she's a great actress. And
I think that's a partly why that they dumped this trailer so early on us is to really show what kind of action, what kind of scale they have, and and how Alicia is portraying the character. I think it's trying to really draw an excitement, but I think it's a little unfortunate. I think they probably, if they're going to do something like this, do it a couple months later, sometime in like November. It's
now it is being directed by a virtual no name.
Yeah, he had a big flop with The Fifth Wave.
Yeah, just The Wave. Roy Uthog. He's the one that directed. No, he directed The Wave. You're thinking of Fifth Wave.
Oh, okay.
No. This is The Wave.
Oh, okay.
That he directed. He's Norwegian, obviously, so it's about a violent tsunami that racks the European coastline. But this film, it might be exactly what he needs. He might need a big studio film to really rein him in, or it really could just wind up absolutely sucking. I don't know, but I'm definitely more excited for this than I am for Murder on the Orient Express or for and a lot of the other films that we talked about. Definitely more excited for this than I am Death Wish 2017.
Yep.
All right, and the final film that we're going to be talking about is one that Jay is probably never even going to see because it is animated. And it is a Wes Anderson film. So Wes Anderson has already done an animated film, and it was fantastic. No pun intended. He did the fantastic Mr. Fox, which I absolutely loved. He's also just a director of visually that I really enjoy. And I enjoy the actors who are in it. I enjoy the characters he creates. I enjoy the kooky situations. I love that all of them are flawed in some weird way. And
I think it's going to have all of that, and definitely the visuals is the one thing that really, really stands out is how unique it is and how visually arresting it is.
And as you brought up,
not for me.
The cast is absolutely amazing. Scarlett Johansson, Bryan Cranston, Liev Schreiber, Tilda Swinton, Bill Murray, Edward Norton, Greta Gerwig, Kara Hayward, Jeff Goldblum. Francis McDermott, Harvey Keitel. It is Ken Watanabe. It's absolutely massive voice cast that's in it. And the film looks absolutely gorgeous.
The Japanese archipelago, 20 years in the future. Canine saturation has reached epidemic proportions. An outbreak of dog flu rips through the city of Megasaki. Mayor Kobayashi issues emergency orders, calling for a hasty quarantine. Trash Island becomes an exile colony. The Isle of Dogs.
I don't think I can stomach any more of this garbage.
Exactly.
Same here.
Words out of my mouth.
Nobody's giving up around here, and don't you forget it, ever. You're Rex. You're King. You're Duke. You're Boss. I'm Chief. We're a pack of scary, indestructible alpha dogs.
Atari Kobayashi, you heroically hijacked a junior turboprop XJ750 and flew it to the island because of your dog. Darn it. I've got a crush on you.
You were looking for your lost dog Spots. Does anybody know him?
No.
I've lost all of my pride.
Spots, if he's alive, may very well be living even at this moment as a captive prisoner.
Somebody is up to something. Will you help him? The little pilot.
Why should I?
Because he's a 12-year-old boy. Dogs love those.
We'll find him.
To the north, a long rickety causeway over a noxious sludge marsh leading to a radioactive landfill polluted by toxic chemical garbage. That's our destination.
Great.
Got it.
Get ready to jump.
I love when they first show the dogs and you can see that their hair is like all matted and stuff like that. And as the wind
dirty
blows,
and wavy, yeah.
their hair is moving, like the little attentions to detail that they pay. But it also has that weird Wes Anderson, like the girl, she's talking about the boy who built his own plane and gave it this really long scientific name, and then he flew it over to the island of dogs and crash landed. And then she's like, I think I'm in love. and it's about a little boy who is going to the Isle of Dogs, which is an island that is made of trash off the coast of Japan, because the dog flu has caused the exile of all dogs from Japan, and all dogs are being sent to the Isle of Dogs. So the boy is obviously, as any 12-year-old boy would be who just lost his best friend, goes to extreme lengths to get his best friend back, and all the dogs are going to help him find Spot. And
it's a great story.
It's going to make me cry. Like, I guarantee this film's going to make me cry. I love Wes Anderson. I love his visual style, and I love the other animated film that he did, Fantastic Mr. Fox. I love this voice cast. I think this film is going to be, it might even be another Oscar for Wes Anderson. This might get like animated film of the year.
It's possible. Yeah.
It's definitely the film for Trailer Park that we've talked about that, other than like Blade Runner 2049, I'm really, really excited for. So this film doesn't come out until March 23rd, 2018, 1 week after Tomb Raider, which comes out, I believe it's March 16th, 2018. So
again, another, early trailer.
And like I said, for this type of this is true stop motion animation. Like it's
100%.
And that's what's amazing about it. Like you don't see this anymore. It's all just, Wes Anderson could very easily hire a animation crew from Thailand to go ahead and start making computer generated images of this, but no, it's actual fucking claymation.
Yeah.
Like one of the most painstaking forms of animation that you could ever have. And he spent the better part of 3 years making this film.
I was going to say that's why he doesn't put out movies very often, is because he does projects like this that takes so much time, and then afterwards, of course, you need some time off and until your next movie. But
I'm not even sure if he takes time off. I think he just starts writing the next one as soon as he finishes one, and it just...
Well, he has nothing else on his slate coming up, put it that way.
No, because I think, this might have taken a lot out of him. He did the same thing after Fantastic Mr. Fox. He took a long time off after
point.
that.
Yeah, that makes sense. And, he does... He's very known for doing... random little small art pieces, like little shorts, little, commercials.
Yeah, he just did that,
random little stuff.
He just did that holiday commercial with Adrian Brody this year that we talked about. That it was my favorite holiday commercial because you have to watch the extended version of it, the 6-minute long version. There's the 2-minute long version just seems like any other, slapped together holiday commercial, but the 6-minute long one is a really, really sweet tale of a little boy who's stuck on a train for Christmas. It's just this story is it's definitely going to jerk the tears right out of my fucking eyes. I'm going to be bawling, and I won't even invite you to the theaters because I know you're not going to have any interest in seeing this at all. What is your problem with animation, man?
It's either you have it or you don't. I mean,
it's not a you have it or you don't. I mean, you love story. You love stories, and animation can tell just as powerful stories as any live-action film can.
It just doesn't do it for me. I don't know.
I guarantee you if this wins an Academy Award, you'll give it a shot.
No.
I guarantee you it does.
100% not.
What if what if
I can't get into it, dude? It's just not I always fall every single anime movie I fall asleep with. They put me to sleep. I can't get into them. There's nothing Look, I never got into anything animated really, mostly for my whole life. Never read comics, never like got into that kind of stuff. I can't.
Such a heartless fuck.
I can't get into something that's not real.
Never have kids. I mean,
I don't want kids. I work with kids all day long. I can't imagine having kids.
What if Damien Chazelle made an animated film? Would you watch it then?
No.
What if Ryan Gosling was in it? What if he provided a voice?
Doesn't matter.
What if Stanley Kubrick himself rose from the grave and made an animated film? Would you see it then?
Look, there are times when I do happen to watch one every. I mean, it's hard for me to come by and watch one, but like I watched Rango, for example, and I was impressed by that with the level of maturity as far as like the dialogue.
Jay, that's exactly what Isle of Dogs is going to be.
But even still, I didn't really love. I mean, I didn't love the movie. I can never watch it again. I mean, it's one of those things where like I forget how I watched it. I think I was sort of forced to watch it.
Oh my god!
But whatever. Anyway, yeah, just give up.
It's one of my favorite directors making another animated film, and the last animated film he loved.
You're gonna love it, man.
I am. I 100% am. So that's gonna do it for Super Movie Brothers tonight. I have been your host, Super Movie Brother Dave.
I'm your host, Super Movie Brother Jay. Check us out on Untapped and Facebook. Hit me up if you want to talk about Mother or Enemy and whatever else you want to talk about.
But, you know, if you haven't seen Enemy, don't go see it on Jay's reigning fucking endorsement. And if you want to get part of the conversation, you can follow us on Twitter at SuperMoviePod on there. Don't forget to also check out our network. You can go to the network site at www.podfixnetwork.com. I believe the week that this episode comes out, Jay, we are the featured podcast of the week. So you can go right to the homepage and you'll find the 2 episodes that I put up there. Thanks
for telling me now, Dave. I would have sharpened up my dialogue a little bit more.
Well, what are you going to do? I just found out before we were recording. So the 2 episodes that'll be up there are the Never Have I Liked It episode, the part 2 of our anniversary, and Movie Cocktail Podcast Jurassic Park is up there as well to check out. And then if you haven't checked out our Kingsman review, that should have been released a couple days before this episode. So make sure to check out the Kingsman, the Golden Circle review. I want to thank everybody for listening. Have a great night. Cheers.
Cheers.